John Huston here, also known as John W.F. Huston, John Rasmus. Rest in peace to David Lynch. It's January 16th, 2025. My haircut inspired by David Lynch, partially. He had an amazing haircut. He was an amazing director. Rest in peace to David Lynch. He directed Eraserhead, 1977, Mulholland Drive, 2001, Dune, 1984. The director's cut of Dune was amazing. In the director's cut, which was 3 hours plus long, you could see details. The writing of the sandworm wasn't just getting on a bucking bronco. There was a process, and the direction was flawless and seamless and amazing. You got to watch the director's cut. You can't watch this super mega cut that's streaming. If you watch Dune 1984, some streaming mega super crap cut, you're going to get a crap version of the movie. I accidentally rented and watched the crap version of the movie. It's like a 1 hour and something version. It's not even 2 hours long, and it's horrifically butchered. Don't watch that version. Watch the David Lynch director's cut. David Lynch did an amazing job. It's as good as Dune and Dune 2, the new incarnations of Dune are. They don't even scratch the surface of David Lynch's Dune. Kyle MacLachlan does an amazing job as Paul Atreides. The spice, they show little details of the spice in the spice container, the spice melange, the most important, valuable element in the universe is the spice. You see, it is what binds. It is interstellar fuel. It psychically connects the mind. And David Lynch did an amazing job with the Dune universe. He doesn't get enough credit for that. Kyle MacLachlan did an amazing job. He was also in Twin Peaks, famously. I'm going to have to rewatch some Twin Peaks episodes, because as a kid, I only watched 5 to 10 Twin Peaks episodes. They went above my head, or more specifically, I watched the characters interact, what's going on, this is a mystery, and I got to see Kyle MacLachlan interact with a female actress in the general store in Twin Peaks. And as a kid, I'm like, what's going on? I never got to see the interesting zigzag red curtain episodes. I never saw a single one of those as a kid. I only saw the walking around some town episodes, and I really got to revisit and watch that and check it out, because obviously it's amazing. Obviously it has a cult following. I'm going to be watching Eraserhead today, 1977. I heard the story about 6 months ago. Stanley Kubrick, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. No one can contest that. Stanley Kubrick is the best, and he was going to have a screening and watch with some of his friends his favorite movie. And his friends were like, oh, what's Stanley Kubrick's favorite movie? He's the best. It must be a great movie. And he gets his friends together in a private screening, and Stanley Kubrick watched and screened with his friends Eraserhead 1977. And the word got to David Lynch that was his favorite movie, and he was greatly flattered. I'm happy to have heard that story, and to know David Lynch heard that story, because he knew what an impact he left on Stanley Kubrick and the world. He left an amazing impression, footprint that shall never be erased. Rest in peace to David Lynch. I'm going to watch Mulholland Drive, 2001, Eraserhead 1977, Dune 1984, as long as I can. I really like the full version with Sting and everybody. I enjoy it to a great degree. I remember Conan O'Brien watched it in movie theaters, and he talked about it on his show. And Late Night with Conan O'Brien. And Conan said, as you entered to watch Dune back in 1984, they handed you a little pamphlet on how to understand the Dune universe. Like, it was so complex. Here's a little pamphlet, the spice melange, they're on Arrakis, we have the Atreides, we have the Harkonnen, and you have this, the Fremen, and everything, all his little glossary of details. And Conan's like, oh, I have to read up before I watch this movie? What? But it's an amazing movie. It deserves another watch. I gotta watch it. I love when Paul Atreides is on that sandworm, and the scene is so much more amazing in the 1984 version. Rest in peace to David Lynch. Here's a painting I painted, and there's a famous video of David Lynch, one of his most recent acting roles, where he says, if the landscape is at the bottom, it's interesting. If the landscape is at the top, it's interesting. If the landscape is in the middle, it's boring as shiz. And I don't know how I did in this painting that I painted a long time ago. When did I do this? 2005. Wow. I painted this 20 years ago. So I painted this painting in 2005, 20 years ago. And I would say, according to the David Lynch perspective, I don't know if it's too interesting. It's sort of boring and sort of interesting, but at least it's not exactly in the center of the horizon. So he, I'm sure some of his wisdom is in that scene, and I'll try my best when I direct my movie to not have boring frame ups, to not have boring landscape horizon ratios. I want to have it interesting. I'm directing a movie. I'm posting this on my YouTube, and I haven't posted on my YouTube in a long time. And so I'm going to be making more videos talking about my movie, Necktie Lummaton. I'm filming it this year in 2025 on purpose because the movie takes place 100 years in the future in 2125. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, and David Lynch did an amazing job encapsulating the entire universe of Dune, which is a very complex universe. It's easily as complex, if not more so, than Star Wars. Frank Herbert obviously wrote the Dune novel, and to really transfer that to the screen, David Lynch did such a great job. My movie is not going to have such a detailed universe. I'm just starting out as a director, aspiring, but really I've made hundreds of little tiny nothing crap videos, nothing on the grand majestic scale of such an illustrious director as David Lynch. But you could be inspired by anything and anyone. And there's no rule saying, oh, you can't be a director. Steven Spielberg said, pick up a camera, start filming if you want to be a director. And then he elaborates, and he seems to have, Steven Spielberg has, he's honed that quote and gone above and beyond and said, sure, you pick up a camera and film, but, you got to get out there, you got to be active and start doing it. I am acquiring the camera. It's not going to be my iPhone. It's not going to be some still bird watching camera. It's going to be a legitimate film camera. It's going to be Netflix approved. It's going to be on the Netflix approved film cameras list. And my movie's never going to make it to Netflix. I mean, I could dream and hope, but my movie's probably never going to make it to streaming unless I can find a service that doesn't care. But I'm going to try my best to make a legitimate... You got to understand, I've already spent a decent amount, not to mention over a year of solid work on pre-production. I just ordered a sign last night. The sign goes on a bigger prop that I painted, and we're talking 20 cans of spray paint. I've painted this prop, and I've spent a lot of time just on this one prop. And that's just one prop in the movie. There's many props. There's custom wardrobe, and I'm not a fashion designer. I enjoy, G-Star. If it has a nice scheme. I like orange. I got this new orange chair for Christmas, and I really appreciate that from my wife. Thank you very much. I love this chair. I'm going to be editing in this chair my movie, and I'm very familiar with video editing software. I've been video editing for 15, 16, 17 years. I video edited for thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of my life. And someone did say, maybe last year, they said, what qualifies you to be a director? First of all, anyone can be a photographer, anyone can be a director, anyone can be a musician, anyone can be an artist. Talent obviously is something that needs to be there, but practice and working really hard and honing your craft needs to be there. Being born with the ability helps immensely. Working on your craft and giving all obviously is something that helps and is greatly a factor, an X factor, a mathematical equation. And the more of those things you have, the more you can have success, but it doesn't guarantee success. This movie will be my first attempt at an entertaining thing. Other than, sure, I spent a couple weeks working on a show called Pyramidal, and I only made one episode. I spent a couple weeks on that, maybe a couple months. But I didn't spend, 13 months on it. I didn't spend a great portion of my time, energy, effort, and money on it. Pyramidal was my attempt at making a show using truth and fiction and mixing it and, playing around with it. I thought Pyramidal was all right. You either get a huge reception or you don't. There's a guy who's posting AI videos, and he obviously puts his voice and he uses a voice changer for the different characters. And he's actually pretty good at what he does. But my movie's not going to showcase any AI whatsoever. But, then people ask me, isn't AI going to be a feature in the future? Since your movie takes place 100 years in the future? So, I've already considered adding some AI elements concerning the subject, like an Alexa of the future, a Siri of the future. But no actual AI art will be in my movie. It's 100% human-made art only. And my computer telling me it needs to restart for an update here. You gotta restart for this update. But I'm really excited about Necktie Lummaton. It's going to be a good movie. It's going to be a good film. Based on the fact that I'm enjoying it, I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to get actors that are willing to work for nothing, for free, for jack zero, because I'm not rich. I'm putting all of the money into the props, wardrobe, sets, designs, the artistic aspect of the movie itself, the artistic aspect. Let me open up the old curtains here. The artistic aspect of the movie itself. Just art. Art is the goal of the movie. Art. That's it. I want to make a good piece of art. I want to make a worthwhile piece of art. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want it to be interesting. I want it to look higher budget than it is. I want it to scrape the surface of people saying, oh, how much did this thing cost? This looks expensive. I want it to push the boundaries of what an independent person with an independent production, an independent film, this is as independent as you have ever seen in your life. I'm one single person working on it so far, no one else. Other people have offered to help act, to help make music, to help this and help that, and I'm open, 100% open and willing to accept other actors. I have a few rules in this movie. One of the rules is I'm not going to be Eddie Murphy working on every character with the different guys and a different mask. Eddie Murphy did a great job doing that. Tyler Perry also did that and was very successful at that, playing 10 roles, 10 different characters. But that's not me. You don't want the credits to say your name 20 times. It has to be other actors. There has to be other actors involved. If you build it, they will come. I've been building it for 13 months. And I hope actors come around and are like, you know, okay, I'll give it a shot. I don't care how qualified the actors are, but I am a perfectionist. You know, people don't know how much of a perfectionist, but if 13 months on a pre-production on something doesn't give you some understanding, but you haven't seen anything. You haven't seen any props. You haven't seen any wardrobe. So I understand. I'm just very secretive of the process, but I will. This is video 1. Getting you anticipation, getting you anticipated for videos I will be showing of the props. I'm open and willing to show some of the props at this point. I'm designing a hat, a shirt, pants, shoes for the main character, and I want to reflect similar designs for the other characters. It's not just about the main character, it's about the other characters. There are gangs, and this is 100 years in the future. And someone said, oh, you're going to have police officers? I don't have a budget for police officers, so no, there's no police officers in the entire movie. No budget. Because it takes place 100 years in the future, and because the budget is so low, I have to rely on, there's no cars in the movie. Not a single car. That's just one little tidbit I'll share with you. There's no police officers in the entire movie. So I'm writing the script around the fact that it's no man's land and kind of like a Mad Max type of society. But it's not a ripoff of Mad Max. There might be a few inspirations, but it's not a Mad Max universe. It's more sophisticated than Mad Max. It's closer to Blade Runner, but this isn't a ripoff of Blade Runner. But it's inspired by Blade Runner to an extent. It's inspired by many movies, even Spaceballs. I draw an inspiration from one Spaceballs scene. There are 100 movies that inspire this movie, if not 1,000 movies. And comedy is going to be in there in the mix, but it's you know, I don't know how well the comedy will be received, and the comedy might be seen as corny or cheesy, over the top, or whatever the case. The comedy is there to displace the fact that I don't have $1 million, if not $10 million or $100 million to make the most mesmerizing things going on to distract you, and wow, what is that? What is that? But I'm still going to push it to the limit where the budget will be in question. How much did he spend on this? And it's not about money. I don't care about money. And I hope the actors don't care about money, because I need actors to work for free. It's about art. And this is 1,000,000% original. Let me just give an example. The soundtrack, I plan on making 100% all of the soundtrack, maybe 12 tracks, maybe 12 songs from scratch. And the songs have to exist in the year 2125. So they can't sound anything like modern day music. They can't sound what modern day music would think 2125 sounds like. I have to imagine and scrape from the ether, from the morphogenetic grid itself, and pull down a non-existent genre and just go with it. And I have amazing fans and supporters, some of which have said, hey, I want to contribute some music. You can, most definitely. But there are certain rules with me trying to make a professional production. Even an independent, minuscule piece of garbage, some would say. But it's not a piece of garbage to me. You see, to me, I hope to get it on Tubi. I want a streaming service like Tubi, and will Tubi accept it? Maybe not. So maybe there's Ruby. Maybe there's Ruby below the Tubi. You know what I'm saying? And maybe there's Scooby Dooby below that. I don't know, but there's like 1,000 streaming services. You've heard of the random ones. Walmart has Vudu. Do I want to be streamed on Voodoo? Why not? I mean, I'll be streamed on anybody at this point. But if I can't get on Netflix, obviously I'm not going to be on no Disney Plus. I'm not going to be on no Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus, History Plus. We got AMC Plus. We got Peacock Plus. We got the old Razzmatazz Plus. So maybe I'll be down in the old Scooby Dooby Zooby Jooby Looby Dooby Crooby Snooby. I don't know. But the fact is, I don't care. I'll be on any of them, not to sell out, but I want it to be out so people's eyeballs can at least enjoy it and say, hey, this is kind of interesting. Who's this? What is this? Who are these actors? This universe is pretty interesting. There's actually some detail going on. The detail I like to focus on is, here's a side character. Okay, he's a hobo next to a trash can in an alleyway in the year 2125. And I'm just giving you an example of the type of direction and writing I'm going for. In Tron 2, you'll see a Tron universe hobo for 1 second. The camera pans to the Tron universe hobo, and they're like, the Tron universe hobo. And then they keep walking. In my universe, I'm going to try my best, probably because it's some type of a actor limitation. I'm not going to have a million extras. I'm not going to possibly have any extras in my movie. Everyone in my movie is going to be an actor, and they're going to have a backstory, okay? They're going to have a backstory. If I pan to a hobo next to a trash can in an alleyway, that hobo is going to have a backstory, a first and last, maybe even a middle name. He's going to have a motivation, how he got there, and we're going to be actually following the hobo and seeing what the hobo's life is like for a couple minutes. We're going to be looking at it for a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. We're going to delve into this hobo's life for a couple minutes. And other movies don't do that. Other movies will have the Back to the Future hobo on the bench, and the DeLorean pops in, and the newspapers blow, and the hobo's like, huh? And then we see the hobo later on, and he has the same reaction. Huh? And the hobo gets to see the DeLorean pop in twice, and it's a little gimmick for the audience, like, okay, there's a hobo, haha, that's funny. But I'm going to show that hobo, and after he goes, huh? We get to follow that hobo for 5 minutes. Why? Maybe 10, 20 minutes. Now, the movie's not about a hobo, and we're not going to be following for no 20 minutes. But maybe 5 minutes, and we're going to give some backstory, and here's a character that matters. I don't care if he's a hobo, he matters. Or she matters, or whatever the case matters. They're going to matter. So back to the music, and I'm going to cut this video off very soon, very shortly. Any music in the entire movie has to be officially the OST music, and it has to be trademark copyrighted by me. And so if anyone wants to contribute, donate, whatever the case, and they don't have to because I have gear. I have just sitting right here casually, I have a Dark Sun freaking Echo pedal box just sitting there casually. That's not a cheap box. That's a $125 Echo pedal, okay? And that's just casually sitting next to my computer, all right? I can make music. I have a lot of musical equipment. I have thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands or anything, but I probably have a good number of thousands of dollars of synth keyboards. I have 2 micro Korgs. I have another Korg, and I have 2 little Korg drum machine thingies. I'm a big fan of Korg. I have another Korg drum machine, my original old school one. So I have 5 Korg instruments just by themselves. And so I have enough equipment. I can crank out some phenomenal, amazing stuff. But if you want to contribute, which you don't have to, you gotta understand I'm not begging and asking in terms of that. But in terms of acting, and yes, the music, whatever the case, acting, music, anything contributed, which I'm not asking for except for the acting wise. Oh yeah, I have a 6th Korg. Oh no, that's a, oh yeah, that's not a Korg. I'm definitely going to use this instrument right here. I'll show you. I'm definitely going to use this guy. This is Gen 8. This is by Stylophone. Yeah, this is Stylophone Gen 8. I'm definitely going to use this guy. This guy is super rare, not cheap at all. Okay, look it up. I'm going to use that. And the reason I bought this is because of Blade Runner 2049. Had the most phenomenal stylophone sounding effects when vehicles flew by. Now, vehicles can definitely fly by in my movie, but I'm not going to show vehicles in my movie in terms of cars. I'm not going to show cars, and I'm not going to show police officers. A, there's no police officers because I can't afford to make a costume for a police officer. And B, there's going to be no cars shown because I'm not going to spend 1 penny making a fake car. And I'm not going to have a Hot Wheels that you're going to realistically think is an actual futuristic car. So if I can't do it, cut it out. Richard Garriott, the video game designer, said, it's not what you put in a universe you are building. It's not what you put in a world you are building. He learned this over years. He was a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, so he was a big, I'm sure, J.R.R. Tolkien fan, so I'm sure he drew inspiration from those things. He also drew inspiration from The Wizard of Oz, of all things. But he said, over the years he learned, you can't jam-pack just a million things. A dragon, an ogre, orcs, goblins, fairies, elves, unicorns. You can't just shove every mythological creature if you're building a fantasy world, for example. It's what you don't put in it that really matters. It's what you say no that really defines a world that you're building. And I've used that advice to an extreme degree. No cars, no cops. That's just a given. There are no cars, no cops in the entire movie. No big deal. I'm just giving you an example how it's going to be easier to direct. And I've written a lot. I've easily written 100 scenes. I have the master script on my computer right here, but I have like 20 scenes on my phone that I need to transfer to email. And luckily I transferred all of my, my computer wants to restart again. Obsessed with updating. Luckily I transferred all my notes. I had 100+ notes about my movie, and I emailed them to myself, and then I had to disconnect and desync the cloud, and it deleted all my notes on my phone. But luckily, like a couple days before that, like a week before that, I emailed myself all of the movie notes. So that was a lifesaver. I saved all the notes. I converted them to a file. There's a master script on my computer. It's probably too long. So it's not what you jam pack in. You got to cut it down and trim it down. I have to define it, and it's a done deal. There's nothing I really want to add to the movie. I'm going to improv a few things here and there, but I don't really need to add any more. It is already script-wise good to go. Any actors who want to contribute, you have to sign a piece of paper that says, sure, I can have the rights to this video and audio for this production for this use. And there's not going to be any flip-flopping switcheroos going on. This is for a legitimate production. But let's give a hypothetical scenario. I make a film, I spend $10,000 on it, and I spend a year and a half working on it, maybe 2 years. And one actor sees it on Tubi in 10 years. Let's say 10 years in the future, Tubi is like, okay, we'll give you 1 penny for a month of streaming because it's a good deal. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, Necktie Lummaton gets onto Tubi. This is the longest ratio. This is the longest video in this aspect. Is it going to be considered a super shorts? I don't even know what they're called because I don't make them, all right? I make long form movies, videos, if you didn't notice, but we will see. Anyway, let's say, theoretically speaking, you are like, hey, I want to be in the movie. I want to voice act in the movie. And then 10 years down the road, the movie shows up on not Tubi, but Ruby, okay? Ruby, Scooby, Looby, Dooby, all right? And it shows up on some streaming service called Scrooby. And you're like, I don't want to be on Scrooby. So your voice or your face is on Scrooby. And it's streaming, and you're like, I don't like my voice. I don't like the way I look. I'm gonna send a cease and desist, so they pull this guy's movie off. Let's say I fought for 5 years to get it on Scrooby, okay? And it's the highlight of my career. My movie's on Scrooby, yes. And then one actor's like, cease and desist. So everyone's gonna have to sign. So there ain't no cease and desists destroying the entire production from the get-go. If you're not 100% all in, ready to go, I don't care if my face is on Scrooby in 10 years. I don't care if the freaking avatar of the movie is me on Scrooby looking like this. See, legitimate actors have to be in it. Every actor signs a piece of paper. It's just a basic terms and conditions license agreement of your portrayal in the product, in the presentation, in the piece of art, in the feature, in the movie. And I don't see any problems with that, but I could, the less professional actors I have take part, they're going to be the ones that are going to be, I don't want to sign this. Well, then sayonara. I don't want you in the production. You have to sign it because I don't want it to be pulled because I want this to be on a streaming service. I want eyeballs to see it. No one makes a film for one person to see it, for their 2 friends to see it, for their 5 family members to see it. I'm not making this movie for 1 friend, 2 friends, or 5 family members. I'm making it for as many people as can see it on a streaming service in the future. It's a futuristic tale, Necktie Lummaton, that takes place in the year 2125. I will be dead before 2125 gets here. You're going to be dead before 2125 gets here, because that's at 100 years. You know, I mean, if you were born right now, you could be alive. And if you were born, 5 years ago, and this is a 5-year-old watch, you're not supposed, this is for adults only. Get out of here. But I guess you could be 105 years old, and there are 114-year-old people living today. So whatever the case. But actors in my movie have to sign a piece of paper. Stay tuned. Necktie Lummaton. I am working on it, filming it. I'm going to be showing you some of the props. Going to be showing you some of the set designs. Going to be showing you some of the this and that. I think some of this stuff is good enough where industries unrelated, like maybe even the fashion industry, would be like, oh, I kind of like that design. I'm just going to snag that. I kind of like that design that he hand painted on that hat. I'm just going to steal that. I would like the movie to be out there before they steal it, so people can say, hey, wait a minute, this guy did it first. His movie was out. If I make just a video like this and then someone steals it, you think Wikipedia can reference this video? Because I've done many things and only mentioned them in videos. Ideas stolen. Here's a video as reference. And Wikipedia doesn't care about a YouTube video. Wikipedia could care less. Matter of fact, a lot of my research on John Teeter is in YouTube videos. And Wikipedia doesn't give a crap about YouTube videos. Wikipedia greatly likes print articles, handwritten print articles. If I took every one of my YouTube videos and typed them on out, it would be good to show evidence and proof, but I would have to have posted them at the exact same time as the video. Side by side, it would have been so much work, too much work. Stay tuned. More episodes not coming soon, so I'm still working on Necktie Lummaton. Working on the movie 100%. Rest in peace, David Lynch.